Hello RC fans, Racing 393 here again today. Another project which is going to be over multiple parts, if I'm honest with you. As you can see before you, what I've purchased myself, hopefully it makes it clear, I've purchased a Traxxas Nitro 4Tec. Now I've already got one. I've got one that's pretty much, well, it is brand new, built, and there's a running video of that in my channel somewhere. If I can find it, I will put a link in the description for you to look at that one. In my wisdom, I bought another one. Part of my interest in RC is building them, but I do like storing where I can. So I bought this one. I think I paid about £80, so it's probably about $95 US for this. It is complete, more or less. I'll show you a few close-ups in a second, but it will need to be completely rebuilt and taken apart, cleaned, checked. I know there's some things that are wrong with it. I've ordered some bits already. I've got those on order yesterday from making this video, so they've already been acknowledged, so they're probably on their way very soon. So those that don't know, the 4Tec is like an on-road 2-speed nitro, and boy do they go. They're really good. I mean, they're a bit like HPI. Any 2-speed nitro is, in my opinion, worth going for. And if you get anything with 3-speed, like the Schumacher or any of the Schumacher 3-speeds, they're definitely worth going for, even the vintage ones, the trucks. But this one's in reasonably good condition. There are a few things that you might be able to see that's wrong with it. Let me just show you a little bit of a closer up. So one of the first things is the one of the front drive shafts. It isn't there. In there, I don't know if you can see that in there. I'm trying to look at my camera, but it's got like a yoke, a universal yoke, which fits onto the output shaft. Well, that's snapped, and although I've got this stub axle, which is, let me show you that, it's here. I've taken the stub axle off, but the inner bit here was missing, and the bit that joins to the yoke in there, that's broken. So I've ordered those. They should be on the way. I can't really see much else that's wrong. I don't know the sort of the mechanicals of the engine. I've also ordered some titanium nuts and bolts to sort of go over this as a restoration. New sealed bearings. I think these ones are okay, but I'm going to put some new bearings in and take the electronics out. You can see the bearings there. They are the sealed ones anyway, so they're pretty good, to be honest with you. But it has got an old like FM radio system in it, which I'll be taking out. The condition of the motor is unknown. It seems to have a compression. I won't know that. Other motors do fit. It is twin speed, so sourcing one of these motors, not necessarily this particular one, but one like this that would fit, won't be too difficult. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. Now, it did come with wheels and tyres. I took the wheels and tyres off, took the tyres off. I'm left with the wheels. These are cheap. I could buy some others, but I'm going to try something here now to see if it works. I can't get all the rubber off, but it did have a lot of chrome around it, which I removed with oven cleaner. It seems okay. Now the problem doing this, boiling water and ripped dye, I wouldn't necessarily say go together. But I'm going to put some of this RTR dye into the pan. So I'm going to go through this with you actually, so you can see it happen. So there's my pan. I've just got it just to a very light simmer at the moment, as you can see. So that's there. I'm going to have to hold the camera whilst I do a bit of this, but what I'm going to probably do, because you've got to be so careful you don't put it into the pan and then melt the wheels, because they're only plastic and they're not exactly expensive. I could buy some other wheels, couldn't I? Tyres. But I'm going to try this because I've got a lot of RTR dye. So I'm going to pour some of this in. And there it is in a pan. I'm just going to bring it back to a light simmer. Once I've done that, I'm going to place a wheel in there. I'll probably do one at a time to show you. So I'm going to put that in there, and it hopefully should come out, well, maybe not as dark as that, but not that colour. That's the plan. Let me just get myself ready. Okay, so here we go. This is the moment of truth. I'm going to pop this wheel in. So it's fully submerged. Got some oven. Now the thing is, when you've got old wheels and tyres and old wheels, I'm not saying this is perfect by any stretch. I did some new ones on my Hot Shot, new wheels. That seemed to work. It's difficult to hold the camera and doing this at the same time. Some of the chrome hasn't actually come off the wheel fully. I'll probably touch that in, but okay, it's coloured it. At least it's taken it away from that colour to that colour, which some of the chrome I couldn't get off. So, but I'll let it dry. I don't think it's no, it doesn't come off. It's not on my hand, but it is. At least it's not that colour. I can just touch that up with even a black marker, just to cover that up will be fine. This is supposed to be graphite, but you can see it does work really well. So I'm going to put the other wheels in and I'll show you at the end. So they're done. I put them in. It depends how much dye you put in, of how well it will cover. It also depends how nylon your wheels are, probably age as well. When I put new wheels in, it's like a magnet. You put them in, take them out. I can't believe how much transition the colour is. It's just daft. But these old wheels, and they're as clean as I could get them. They might have a little bit of residue on them. They are old. I don't know the composite of the wheels. Maybe they're not quite as nylon as a newer wheel, for example. But this one here, I've literally just gone round it on the edge with a black marker pen. It just wants another little coat around it once it dries, because not all the chrome came off. You can see here, this one I haven't done, and it's got little speckles of chrome. So I'm just going to colour those in now. You might not see it because my hand's going to be in the way, but I'll just go round it with this marker pen. And I'll show that now, and it sort of disappears. I'll put another little coat on that. And this one's got a little bit more on, you see, so I couldn't quite get it all off. Even I was trying to rub it down, it just wasn't working. Even oven cleaner wouldn't take these little bits off. I've no idea why, but maybe if I use a Dremel or something and sort of scuffed and took an edge off, it would work. But you can see it covers it. I mean, end of the day, they're going to get chipped anyway. But at least the actual colour of the wheel won't get chipped. It might get chipped on the edge here, the bit I'm painting. But ultimately, I've got a little bit on, so that's done as well. So I'm hoping that comes up on camera as well as it does in front of my eyes. That one you can see as it dries, it sort of might show the marking again through there. So I mean, you could just use, you don't have to use a pen, use actual paint, couldn't you? And there we go. Okay, so that's just the first bit of this video. I'm going to I don't know how many parts it will be. I'd like to sort of go through it a little bit more detail, because I've got a manual upstairs of the car itself. It's only a PDF. It's not a real, I haven't got an actual manual. It's like 99 pages long. So I'll just have that on my phone or tablet whilst I'm sort of dismantling it, because it comes ready built. I don't think they all do. I could be wrong there, but most of the Nitros that I'm aware of are ready to run. There is a shed load of upgrades still available for these cars. I'm not too fussed with that. I just want to make sure it runs and works. I'll strip the engine down. That'll be another part of the video. But, you know, I haven't finished this bit yet. I'm going to carry on. I think the next bit I'm going to do is possibly remove the exhaust, remove the electrics where I can, take the electrics out, because I don't need them. I can't even check if they work. They don't have a analog green crystal anywhere, I don't think. Certainly not. So they'll probably be for sale just for anyone that wants any retro stuff. I mean, they look in good condition. They're just a bit dirty. So I'm going to grab them out, probably remove the exhaust, take the electrics out, and we'll see where we go from there. So that will be the next part of this video. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I think there's two things. Probably I'm going to remove the electrics. The electrics are the old, like FM, old ACOMs. I'm not sure what the make is. It looks like it could be like Futaba or ACOMs or high tech. Can't quite see from here because I've got stuff in the way. But it does involve removing like the servo horn and to get to the screws for the servo. The receiver's still got the green crystal in. I don't have a green crystal. I think I did have, but sold that a long time ago. But does that mean that they pair up? I don't know. So the first thing, I've ordered quite a lot of stuff now. It's on order, so it will be here whenever. The first process now is just to say get the electrics out, which I will. I'll film that as I'm doing it and try and do a little bit more detail on what I'm doing. So bear with me. Probably make out there that the servo is actually a high-tech servo, so it's just a basic off-the-shelf servo. I don't even know if it works, to be honest. The last little bit I'll do by hand, as it makes it a little bit easier to control. So this is the servo that came out. What does it say on there? It's a bit covered in grime. Doesn't look in too bad condition though. So it's a standard high-tech HS311. It's just a standard servo. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's probably adequate, but I'll probably put some new electrics in if I'm honest. A couple of servos, nothing spectacular, but nevertheless, as you can see there, these ones are not in bad condition. Now, if they work, I can plug them into any radio gear and see if they work, can't I? So I can probably do that even if I don't. If I buy another receiver and bind it to my transmitter, just plug these in, can't I? So that's the plan. One out. The steering servo is a little bit harder to get at, but I think the receiver looks like it's stuck in. So I'm going to unplug the rest of the connectors, and then we're going to get that receiver unstuck. I don't know how long it's been on there, so let me just move the camera again. As you can see, it's not in great condition. It is just an AM. Did I say FM? I probably meant AM if I said that. Or RF, I was thinking of RF. So this is a HPI AM 27 megahertz receiver. So I don't think this is a HPI, is it? This must be a it looks like a Traxxas to me. In fact, it's got a Traxxas pull start, so the engine at least is. I've got a Traxxas, so I don't know if I'm saying that, but you know, people put their own stuff in, don't they? Right, okay, let me just try and remove the receiver, and I'll be back. Years of grime. It actually popped the receiver apart there, but I'll clean it up. I'll clean it up anyway, so that it's if somebody wants it, I can't see it not working. So that's off. It's quite easy. It's a very messy plate where it was on there. Thing is to probably have to dismantle the steering rod, the track control arm. Well, the steering arm, not track control arm. The steering arm and the servo, and then I think the servo's, from memory there, it's got 2 screws underneath. So I think the 2 screws which hold the servo on is this one there, and I'll move the car around a little bit. That one there. So my understanding is that will take the servo out. I'm tempted to remove the exhaust. Did you hear that? I think to get the front servo out, I'm going to have to take the exhaust off. So it just means undoing the grub screw there and just snipping the cable ties off there. Now, the other thing I've got a problem now is my camera battery isn't charged. So this might be kind of a short video because I haven't got the battery charged up. But let's take the let's take these off. They must have been on their ears because I can't move them. There we go. Might not have to take that one off because it should just slide out. This shouldn't be too tight. So that's the exhaust off. I've left the exhaust bend on the end there. Turbo tuned pipe. We'll see about that. A screw under there. Not quite sure why that's there. That's to block a hole. The pipe does come apart, so I'll give it a clean. We'll have a look at that. Maybe stick a little bit of, I don't know, either put another tuned pipe on there or put a bit of red on there, who knows. To remove that, I've still got to take off the little exhaust mount nut and bolt there. It'll just be underneath here. I'll probably do that by hand actually, rather than using the power tool. Once I got that off, this should slide out. It's also got a repair there on some wiring anyway, so yeah, not that I'll be using that, to be honest. The interesting thing is it's got a switch which is up here at the top, which you on off switch here. one part of that was plugged into the receiver. The other part should have been plugged to some batteries, shouldn't it? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to remove this engine, this exhaust mount, and then I should be able to get the receiver, the servo out. I keep saying the wrong words, but you know what I mean, it's electrics, isn't it? So that's the servo out. It's still connected via the power lead at the minute, which is up here. I'm not sure how. I mean, it's connected here, so I can literally just sort of snip that off. The servo's now off. I think it's got a... It seems like it's been spliced. I don't know quite what's happened there. It's like a repair, poor repair, but it's been an old repair. It's a really mucky, it hasn't been cleaned, moved, used or anything in years. Can't see what that is. I don't know if you can see that. I can't, my eyes can't see it. Definitely, I can't read it. They've got a funny lot, got some kind of bulbs out here, it's annoying. So anyway, that's the servo out. Again, I don't know if it works. I'll take the servo horn off because, yeah, I might use that on another, well, I'll try and use that on another servo. The battery on the camera is like super low at the moment. So this video might be a little bit shorter than anticipated. I might have to do like a part 2. So part 2 will probably be removal of the suspension. Maybe the front suspension. We'll take that off, clean it and rebuild it once I've got the spare parts that I need. I also want to do a separate video for the engine, removing of the engine, and then maybe stripping the engine and just doing the engine as a strip to see what it's like inside. Like I said, I don't know. Yeah, okay, so just for the fact that the battery's like hanging out of its arse. I don't know why GoPro makes such crap batteries, but it's not going to be a very long video. So part 1 is kind of the intro and what I plan to do. I don't know how many parts there'll be, but there'll be a part 2, which will be probably the front suspension or stripping of the motor. If I can get the battery charged up, I'll decide which one I do. So I'm going to clear up, going to sort out some bits and pieces. On the next part, we'll see whether it's the motor. So we might take the motor off there, or as part of the front suspension. But I'm still waiting for parts for that. So as the motor's an unknown quantity at the minute, to be honest with you, it's probably that one that I... End of part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. That's my rebuild of my Traxxas Nitro 4Tec. Mid to late 90s, maybe early 2000s, something like that. Anyway, I'm going to sort out some bits and pieces, clear up, and I'll be back very soon. So I've done a bit of cleaning. The front pulley, it actually goes around on the car. If you look at the car from this angle like this, so I've cleaned that up. The back sort of plate's done. Completely cleaned out the fuel tank and up the top deck. Now, incidentally, this is upside down. So the pivot arms, the swivel arms, you can see they're plastic bushings there. So I'm just wondering whether there's some ball race bearings that will fit those. I'm sure there is. It's not particularly tight anyways, it doesn't really matter. But if I've got some ball races, I'll try and see if I can fit some in there. If you know the size, let me know what they are. Saves me hunting around. Exhaust is cleaned. I'm going to sort of spray it a different colour. Put some different stickers on it. I've got most of the nuts and bolts off for taking parts off there, so I'm just going to bag those up. You can kind of see the chassis. The next bit is to get the motor out, dismantle. I think it's got a, I'm pretty sure it will come out, but there is a sort of a cowling on the top there, which I've, hopefully you can see that. Got to try and remove that cowling first somehow. It's not the most user-friendly RC Nitros, if I'm honest. But yeah, I suppose it's meant to come apart. It sort of comes ready to run. Does it come with electrics in? I think it did. But it's not like modular. It's like put together, bought, used, and that's it. So it's not an easy kit to take apart to get to things. Everything's entwined and one bit has to go on before another bit, and I haven't got the instructions in front of me, so I'm just doing it all by what I think. I'm trying not to dismantle too much of it so it's all over the place, but the bits I've taken off are quite easy to put back on. I've got to just clean up the chassis, and then I'll do the front of the car first and then the motor and the rear. But I'm going to take the motor out. That'll be, like I said, in part 2. So I'm just literally filming from my phone at the moment. I'm still going to keep this in part 1 as I make further progress. So the engine's out, and I took the cooling head off, which you can see there. So it does look in very clean and neat, tidy condition. I'm a bit concerned about the pinch. I'm not sure if there's much pinch on this, which can be a little bit. It's got to be cleaned. The exhaust manifold. It's a typical old style header, if you like. But I've cleaned it and it's neat and tidy. The plug, the glow plug, that still works. And this is a TRX 15, as you can see there. Now, you can see it's still a bit grubby. It all works. What I'm going to do is possibly, I might take the cylinder head off. But before I do that, I'm going to remove the carb. The carb is in pretty poor condition, although it all works. I mean, it's all kind of, as you can see, it does work really well. So I think what I might do, it's quite an easy engine to work on. I'm going to take the carburetor off, take the pull start off, take the sleeve out, remove the piston. I think this will be the first thing. I'll get this probably up to where I need it. I want to check the pinch. Be honest with you, it doesn't feel like it's got much. A mark or a hole? I'll have to have a look at that. Can't really work out what that is. Cylinder, which I'm not sure what that could be. Hopefully it's not anything below the piston line, which I won't know until I take it off. Using the phone to look at what's there. It's had a bit of damage. We'll see. Let me get a bit further into it. So we've got the back plate off. Looks reasonably clean, to be honest, and there's no grime. It looks in really good condition. So I'm going to do the old cable tie up the exhaust manifold port trick to be in reasonably good condition. It's just the bore, isn't it? So everything's neat and tidy. Just wants to clean up. The pull start is in good condition. One-way bearing. Yeah. So far, so good. Like I said, I might have included in my last video, might have said it's part 2, but as I've got time and it's going forward pretty quickly, I will continue this engine in part 1. So just ignore the fact that if you catch me saying part 2, you kind of know what I mean. But anyway, let's get the sleeve out, because that little notch there at the top, it's got a little notch as well, a little dowel in the top of the block. Just got to make sure that's in the same place like that when you put it back in. Hey, here we go. So that's the sleeve out, very easy. Wasn't in there very difficult at all. So that's good. That's the piston. That's the way it was in. So imagine the engine is, well, not imagine, there's the engine, the block. And when the piston was in there, I could see that bit. So that's how it was installed. On the other side, so I've got like an oil recess or lightweight. So what I'm thinking, I don't know if it's the right or wrong way, but I'm going to put it back in that way. So, but it looks in good condition. I'm going to give it a clean out. And again, it does look, it looks like it's in reasonable condition, if I'm honest. So I'm going to continue stripping this apart. So I've quickly tested the pinch. Yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad. There's enough there. You can't push the piston through. And it's hard to push by hand. So I can only assume that that is okay. And the marks and things on the bore don't really matter too much. But it's in reasonably good condition, so that's a good thing. I'm now gonna take the check the clutch, take that off, see if I can take the crank out. Then I'll clean the carb, perhaps off camera. You can see it's quite grubby. So we'll strip it down, make sure the seals are okay, and put it all back together. Probably won't do that on camera. That's it, it's all apart. There's the crank, there's the collet, flywheel, block, clutch, crank end bolt if you like. Yeah, so we're pretty much, that's the engine stripped and it's in really good condition. There's no wear, there's no play on the bearings. So I'm gonna clean it up. I've got another gasket to put on. I'll get this one off. I'll clean it up. I'm gonna reassemble it, put a bit of oil in it, what I've got, and just reassemble. And I'll show you in part 2 this time of when the engine is back together. It's in very, very good condition, so I'm really pleased with that. Anyway, that's it for now. That definitely is the end of part 1. Part 2, I'll show you the carb rebuild when it's done, the engine rebuild, and we'll come back and we'll start rebuilding and cleaning once I've got the other bits and pieces on the chassis. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and definitely goodbye this time.